Should you upgrade to the new Samsung Z Fold 6 from the Fold 5 or even the Fold 4? Let's go over the major similarities and differences, and then I will give you my recommendations. Unfortunately, I think this is another year of refinement in the Fold series. Let's go over the differences first. There's a new hinge design, which is supposed to be more durable. I'll give you a look at that. And it's slightly thinner. Let me put these back to back. Not much thinner. It's 12.1 millimeters versus 13.4. So not much of a difference there, but it is slightly thinner. So it is lighter. It's 239 grams down from 253, but holding them in hands, I could not tell a difference. I know a lot of reviewers said they could, but I didn't really tell much of a difference there. So I don't think it's going to be an overly impressive improvement for you. But it does have the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 versus the Gen 2 processor, which should give you better battery life, better photos, and better processing speed, and better gaming and all that kind of stuff. There is a change in the IP rating. It went from IPX8 to an IP48, which means it does offer some dust resistance, but it is only for particles 1 millimeter and larger. So fine dust and sand are still going to be an issue, so you still got to be careful with that. So most people are probably going to notice the slightly wider front screen, which is definitely a welcome change, but it's not that much wider. And it's same mostly form factor. You can see if we line them up here, there it's just a little wider on this one, but also the bezel's got a little smaller. So let me show you that. So again, this is the Z Fold 6 over here, and this is the Z Fold 5 on the left. And you can see here the bezels are a little smaller. It's got the squared off corners, which makes it look a little more modern and makes them a little wider so you could fit more stuff on there. And this should make websites and browsing and texting a little nicer for you and a little bit of a better experience, but not a terrible improvement in size. So the inside screen is also a little wider. So it's not super noticeable, super obvious, but you can see here, this is the Z Fold 5 over here, and this is Z Fold 6. You can see it's just a little thinner there. Let me see if we can magnify that in just a little bit. So that's the difference in the height. It's just a little shorter. And I have the Z Fold 5 on the top here and the Z Fold 6 on the bottom. And you can see the inside screen is just a little wider. It does also have that squared off look. You don't have the soft corners like on the Z Fold 5 here. It does give it a little more modern look. And again, it should make things like multitasking and things like that just slightly better on the inside, but not a revolutionary increase. So not a major difference here, but the white screen is just slightly different. And this all could be modified on your own, but on the Z Fold 5 that's on the left here, it's just a little more of a pinkish, yellowish hue. And on the Z Fold 6 that's on the right here, that's just a little wider. I don't know if that shows up on the video, but it's just slightly improved. But again, nothing you would notice unless you had them directly side by side. Very minuscule change. The Z Fold 6 over here, Samsung says, is made with enhanced armor aluminum, whereas the Z Fold 5 here was just regular armor aluminum. It's supposed to be 10% stronger, but I don't know if there's much of a difference there. The cameras, I don't know, they're just much more noticeable on the Z Fold 6, which honestly I think they look very ugly. I definitely prefer the camera setup on the Z Fold 5, but you know, that's slightly different. You do have the sharper squarish edges on the Z Fold 6, where on the Z Fold 5 they were more rounded. So I think the Z Fold 6 does look a little more modern. The speaker grill here on the bottom looks slightly different. This is the Z Fold 6 over here. Slightly different design on the speakers, but they sound about the same to me. And let me show you them on the top here. Again, same thing, maybe a little more modern looking on the Z Fold 6, but nothing terribly improved there. And again, just showing you that hinge design. You can see the change there. This is the Z Fold 6. The other thing you're getting on the Z Fold 6 is a 1.6 times larger vapor chamber, and so you say big deal. Well, but that's going to cool the phone more so that it can process faster, and your gaming speeds and frame rates should be able to be a little sharper and faster than on the Z Fold 5. The larger cooling vapor chamber will also help maintain better battery life, and keep the phone from getting hotter, obviously. So the Z Fold 5 gives you 5 years of software support, whereas the Z Fold 6 offers now 7 years of software support. And supposedly Samsung says that it's 7 years of actual major updates, not just security updates. So that's pretty impressive. And now the Z Fold 6, for all these little minor slight changes, you get a $100 more expensive bill. So I don't know if it's worth it. Let's keep going. So it's the same here. Well, you still get the Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on both. Usually they do come up with a new name and, say it's slightly better, but they didn't even change it this time. The screen quality and resolution is the same. The refresh rate is slightly better on the Z Fold 6. It can go down to 1 Hz now, which might save a little battery, but I don't think it's going to be a major difference here. You get the same exact camera hardware that has been on the Fold 4, the Fold 5, and the Fold 6, which is really disappointing. So you get a 15 megapixel main camera, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and 10 megapixel telephoto with a 3x zoom, and you get the same 10 megapixel selfie camera on here and the same 4 megapixel under display camera on the inside. Surprisingly, you get the same battery size, 4,400 milliamp hours, which is the same as the Fold 3, so it hasn't gone up in 4 years. So there's been 4 generations of phone with the same battery size, which is really disappointing. And you get the same charging speeds, 25 watt wired and 15 watt wireless. Again, very disappointed that they couldn't increase either of those things. You get the same 12 gigabytes of RAM, and you get the same storage size options up to 1 terabyte. You get the same S Pen as the Z Fold 5, and the Fold 5's S Pen works on the Fold 6 and vice versa, but you still have no place to hold it, so you need a case for the S Pen, and you do not get any ability to use the S Pen on the front screen, which is, again, disappointing. So this is the Z Fold 5 here, and the 6 over here. And the Samsung S Pen case here is exactly the same, but it is a little thinner on the Z Fold 6. Let me just put these guys next to each other, and you can see the difference here. It's actually quite a bit of difference between the phone being thinner and the case being thinner. The Z Fold 6 here is definitely much thinner overall. And also keep in mind, likely all the new software and AI features that Samsung's making a big fuss about on the Z Fold 6 will likely come to the Fold 5 and even likely to Fold 4. And unfortunately, I would give you the same advice I gave you when trying to help you decide if you should upgrade from the Z Fold 4 to the Z Fold 5 last year. And I don't see any major must-have changes, but it's a refinement. Those are actually my exact words from last year, and they hold true again this year. Probably the biggest thing you're going to notice is the wider front screen, which is definitely welcome. You might notice also the more squared-off design of the Z Fold 6, but I think the other changes are not really must-haves and may not even be all that noticeable. Should you upgrade? So this is the end of the video. I went over the differences here, and so let's answer. Should you upgrade? So obviously, if cost is not an issue, the Z Fold 6 is slightly better in every way and should be slightly more durable, so, go for it. If you have the Z Fold 5 and you can get a great trade-in deal, then it's definitely worth considering, but only if you need the latest and greatest. The Fold 5 is still a great phone. But even if you get a great trade-in deal, it's still a lot of money for what seems to be a minor update. So if you're happy with the Fold 5, I'd keep it, but if you need to have the latest and greatest, then go for the trade-in deal. If you don't have a good phone to trade in and you're trying to decide between the Z Fold 5 and 6, then I'd probably lean towards the 5. If you can get it for maybe a 25% discount, I think that's fair. A discount of less than that, I'd probably try to save up and go for the Fold 6. If you have the Fold 3 or Fold 4, I'd maybe consider upgrading, even though there is not much of a difference between the Z Fold 4, 5, and 6, unbelievably so. There will still, at some point, be a durability or a longevity concern with your Fold if you have the 3 and 4. So I'd maybe consider upgrading while you still have the phone working and you can still get a good trade-in deal. For the pre-order deals, I think Samsung was offering like $800 or $900 even for a Fold 3. Now, those will go away, but those deals do recycle throughout the year, so briefly, but keep an eye out for them. And I also recommend if you get any of these folding phones, definitely get the Samsung Plus insurance. These phones are very expensive to fix, and if they break, you're kind of out of luck. So I definitely would get that at least for the first year. I have a lot of content coming for the Z Fold 6, and I'll show you all the tips, tricks, and advanced features of these things. I will usually break the videos down into categories like privacy settings, display, customization options, advanced options, S Pen tips and tricks, and all those kind of things to make the videos just a little more manageable, a little more bite-sized. So if that's an interest to you and you're buying the Z Fold 6 or the Z Fold 5 and really want to get the most out of it, consider subscribing, turning on your notifications, and stay tuned. I hope this video has given you some information to help you decide on which Z Fold phone to get. That's it for now. Let me know which Z Fold you're going to get, or if you're going to buy a folding phone from a different company. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.